There's been a lot of changes in the garden since last month. Working on a lot of fun things that I think will turn out well. I'll go through each one. So we're not going to go in any particular order. I'll just talk about things as we walk past them. So I have been looking for large pots to put the trees that we got. I got these avocado trees and obviously the citrus trees, but they haven't been repotted yet. And turns out pots that are this size are very expensive. So what we ended up going with are these, I believe these are 30-gallon grow bags, and they're far more economical than a pot that's the same size. I think a plastic pot was like, to get the same amount, it was going to be hundreds of dollars. To get the same amount of pots to pot everything, it was going to be hundreds of dollars. Whereas this a 5-pack of 30-gallon grow pots was like $20 on Amazon. So, and these are apparently healthier for the roots because instead of so when the roots come out to the edge in a plastic pot, it will spiral around the pot, but instead in this felt grow bag, they'll come out to the edge and they'll die back, thereby creating a healthier root system. So we've got the avocados in the grow bags, and another thing I'm very excited about right now is the dragon fruit. I have 4 different varieties so far, and I have built these dragon fruit trellises, and there are good videos on how to build these, which I followed very closely to get this right. So what is going to happen is the dragon fruit will grow up the trellis and grow over the top like this, and it's just that simple. Because the way they grow naturally is they'll latch themselves onto things and grow up towards the sunlight, and if they get too heavy, they'll fall over. And I have seen this recently at the Exotica nursery in Vista. They have a giant bush of dragon fruit that got tall and then just fell over. So if you want it to be controlled and contained and easy to handle, then the trellis is a good solution for it. And I have prepped 4 of these trellises so that I can have a bunch of them all set up in these trellises. Got 2 more over here that are ready to go. Just waiting on more varieties of dragon fruit. And other things I've done recently is I've moved the blackberries that I had mistakenly planted in the shade early on when I lived here. And this spot is going to be a lot sunnier for these. I moved this just a few days ago, so it's not rebounded yet. And I did the same for our ginger just today. It was in a bucket and it was doing just fine, but we want to grow a lot more ginger, so I have potted it up to one of these 30-gallon grow bags, and I expect that this is going to get massive over the course of the next few months. And so over here, you remember the herb bed. Some things have died back, or been eaten back, I should say. We had a little problem with mice and they ate the chamomile that was here and the marjoram that was here, and they nibbled on the tarragon. I guess they didn't like it that much. And plenty of other stuff. A whole corn stalk disappeared. Tomatoes had bites out of them. The beans got eaten back. So lots of damage in the garden from the mice. And for a little while we thought it was something bigger than that because there was so much damage. But I put out traps and we started to catch them. And so far I've caught 4 mice and the damage has started to stop. And that's awesome. So we actually get to enjoy the stuff that we're growing. So over here, the seeds that I direct sowed in the greens bed, I think I did not too many of them have popped up. What I should have done is started some of them in seed trays, which I have now done. And I'll show you that in a little bit. But some of them have popped up here. Like this is a Swiss chard. We'll see if that one makes it. It's kind of drooping. These big ones here are ones that I bought from the store already, a little bit matured in pots. This one's a bright lights Swiss chard, and the seedlings grew up next to it, so we'll see if they share the space. This one's the dino kale that I got from a nursery, and you can see that it has been very chewed up, and that was another problem we've been dealing with. It hasn't just been the mice. We had a bird feeder that I think I talked about last time with all the seeds, and turns out they like to eat the greens too. So we had more than one animal eating our vegetables. I think the one in particular is probably the mourning doves that were doing this. And I had gotten this cheddar cauliflower, which is now gone. So I think they ate that too. But since I took away the bird feeder, this greens damage has stopped. And they were also digging in the beds, maybe for seeds, or they like the straw maybe for their nests. But the damage from the birds and the mice has basically stopped. So that's pretty cool. Over here, I got my potatoes still. It's kind of an experiment because this is from a store-bought potato that I chit. Chitting is just allowing the potato to root, just sitting on the counter, sprout while it's sitting on the counter, and then it'll have more success when you put it in the ground after it has chit. And I have another one over here that I put in here. And our eggplant is surviving. I don't know if it's going to make any more. It's got some flowers, but I don't know if it's going to make more. I plant some more eggplant seeds. This variety is called the bride eggplant. And I planted some melons. And this, I believe this is the zucchini. I say believe because we only got one and then it disappeared because probably the mice ate it. Oh, and I am very excited about this. I have a rose that I'm very partial to because they have a very deep red, almost black color. It might not show up on the video, but they are called a Black Baccara. This is my favorite rose, and I had a Black Baccara rose previously since before we moved to this house, and I think this area has a lot of spores and stuff floating around that some roses can catch disease, and the Black Baccara that I had, it ended up dying. It suffered a lot. I tried to save it, and so this is it here. It died back, and it has not resprouted after maybe a year. So I was really sad about that because that was my favorite rose. But we recently found another at a garden center, so I was very excited. I had to get it. They had I think they had one, and we got it. We just grabbed it. So it's really nice to have this rose again. And I've added a few additions to the Cactus Corner Succulent Central. We got a couple nopal varieties. I repotted this guy. He's getting tall and fat. And I repotted the dewy pine carnivorous plants. They're doing good too. And so the corn I planted hasn't matured super well. And it might be too late in the season for new attempts, but I'm trying anyway. So here I believe this is the Brussels sprouts. It looks, now that I'm getting a good eye on it, it kind of looks like they ate the center out of it. So that one might not bounce back. The sugar pumpkin is dying back too, and we have not gotten any little pumpkins from that one. Right here I have an asparagus that is just happy to continue growing, and it hasn't been attacked by any pests or anything like that. The Big Mac pumpkins that I planted some time ago have been growing and growing and growing and growing all the way around, and then all the way up and up and up and up. And recently I found that the little pumpkins were getting chewed on by slugs. So now that we've dealt with the birds and the mice, we're going to have to figure out how to deal with the slugs. So that's our new enemy. But regardless, we have not gotten any pumpkins, Big Mac or sugar pumpkin yet. So that sucks. But that brings me to this structure that I built for all the climbers that we will have at some point. This arch or arbor is just like a chicken wire on these poles they put in the ground. And then my roommate had the inspired idea of holding it up using these bamboo stalks that are growing literally right here. And so as the bamboo continues to grow in, I will add a few more to help fully stabilize this structure. But it looks very nice, and I'm very happy with the way it turned out. And so that brings me to my little seed station that I've put together. And you can see that almost as if I know what I'm doing, they're all sprouting. Not all of them, but most of them. And these will go in the greens bed. And the idea of this little seed station is to create a more stable environment than I've had previously, in terms of heat and moisture, because you have to have conditions just so for seeds to germinate and sprout. So this is my current solution, and it seems to be working so far for some of these, so I'm happy with that. So over here is how, let's see, the mints I've talked about this previously. I have a bunch of varieties of mints. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, 8 varieties of mint. I have seen more, but I haven't acquired them yet. And so the strawberries have kind of stopped producing for the moment. But I think they will again, maybe not in the fall or the winter. I probably have to wait until spring for them to start up again. But we'll get strawberries eventually. We got these flowers that the bees seem to really like. So we got some nice flowers for our pollinators. And we hope to get more soon. And I can show you how the pepper bed is doing. Got the bell peppers. Got some growing in. The yellow bell has bounced back from death's door very well. It's got some coming in. Here's the Anaheim. Not too many peppers right now, but we are getting some. Jalapeno, got plenty of jalapenos actually. Some of these probably need to get picked. I got the sunflowers making some little flowers. And then we got the, I believe this is the Serrano, yeah. That one needs to get picked. Then we got a bunch of cayenne. A whole bunch of cayenne, actually. And here is the habanero. I actually haven't seen this yet. We got some habanero coming in. That's exciting. And back behind it, these are the ghost peppers. They're not too big. They're kind of scrawny, but they're coming in. And there's nothing going on the Carolina Reaper. So I think the conditions just might not be right for it to want to produce right now. And over here, this has become kind of the powerhouse bed of the whole garden, because I'm putting a lot of stuff in here. So we got the tomatoes that have been maturing very nicely recently. They seem to very much like the conditions that they're in. This bed has been attacked quite a bit by the mice. So now that the mice problem has been managed somewhat, we should be seeing better yields over here. So I've planted more beans, and yeah, some of them are sprouting. These are going to be bush beans. This is one that got decapitated by a mouse. Here's the mouse traps that I'm using. They're just a little enclosed trap, so you don't have to have a chance of touching the mouse or getting your finger snapped. And they're reusable, so that's really cool. Here's some more beans. And some of these have been attacked by aphids. This corn in particular has been ravaged by aphids. So I'm probably going to have to pull some of these out. And more corn that's going to have to go. This is where the corn stalk was that it just up and disappeared one day. I think the mouse family came over and just took care of it. I came out one day and was like, wasn't there a corn stalk there? I'm like, wow, is it a large animal? For a little while I thought it might be a possum, so I was looking at traps that I might have to set, and I was really out of my depth in terms of how to handle this situation. But we saw a mouse, so we decided to let's start with that problem because we know that we have that problem. And so we started putting out traps, and they weren't going for them for a little while, but then we started to catch them. So we dealt with that problem one mouse at a time. So back here I have what is called the Goliath snow peas, and it will hopefully grow up the arch. And I have planted some other peas that are going to grow up this, and I believe I planted some more melons in here. I forget all the things that I planted that I direct sowed into this bed that with the intent that they'll grow up this structure. I remember Chinese beans. They are big long beans, so that'll be really cool if that ends up growing. Oh, right. So there's one thing that I have neglected to mention about the garden that's really fun. So a long time ago, maybe a year and a half ago, I set up these Christmas lights on the entire perimeter of the backyard. And the purpose for it was to make it so I could work out here when the sun goes down. Not only that, it looks very nice. It gives a good mood lighting. And I will include video of that when the sun goes down. It might not show up perfectly on the video, but we'll see. All right, the sun has gone down, so without further ado, here are the lights that I have set up. I'll show you the entire perimeter and the ambiance that we have back here. And the low light capabilities of this camera might be lacking a bit, but you can still get a good idea for the kind of light they provide. And again, this was to make it easier for me to work on the garden at night. And I did go for the warm white as opposed to the cool white on the lights, because that would have been annoying if it had like a blue hue to it with the cool white. The warm white is much more appealing. It's got a softer look to it. And sometimes I just like to sit out here with the lights on. It's very relaxing. I recently ordered a folding camping chair so that I can just sit out here in general. There is this bench, but it's not as comfortable. So that's the October garden tour. Hope you enjoyed. And I'll see you for the next one.